Welcome to a highly requested episode on sleep. Now, my intention for you with this episode is, first of all, to help you to value sleep more by recognizing and understanding how important it is to your overall short term and long term physical and mental health, but also to demystify some of the causes of sleep problems that we have, why we don't sleep like a baby all night long. And little caveat here, I'm really sorry to the mums and dads out there who have young children who wake them up multiple times a night, because obviously you can't do much about that. And I empathize with you a lot. I average 3 wake ups a night because one of my girls could have a good night, but then the other one's going to wake up. So I do empathize with you, but it's fine. You actually, a really good tip for you if you have had a bad night's sleep is to not think about it. Okay, because you can actually trick your brain into feeling more energized just by telling yourself that you had a great night's sleep. Because if you tell yourself, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, then you're signaling to your body how tired you are. And then your subconscious mind is always listening to the thoughts and the things that you say. And so it's going to make you feel even more tired because of the tone of your thoughts. Whereas if you tell yourself that you had a great night's sleep, even if you didn't, obviously it's not going to completely miraculously make you feel so energized like you had a great night's sleep the night before, but it will help on some level. So give that a try if you have the odd bad night's sleep. So, first of all, I would like to, number one, get you to realize how important sleep is, because we massively undervalue sleep in the Western world. One of the reasons we do that is because we can function without it. And we're conditioned now to lead such busy lives that 24 hours in a day doesn't feel enough, when actually that's ridiculous. Like 24 hours in a day needs to include sleep. And we quite often treat our cars better than we do ourselves. Most of us wouldn't dream of not getting our car MOT'd. And that's something that your car needs to function well and to extend its life and everything like that. Whereas actually we chronically undervalue our sleep, and therefore we don't get enough of it. The average person does not get enough sleep. And there are huge health consequences because of that. So, just some of the issues that people struggle with if they are chronically sleep deprived is things like high blood pressure, diabetes, all types of heart problems, obesity, depression, anxiety, all sorts of mental health related issues, a weaker immune system. And then naturally, when you are more tired, you are much more easily stressed. And medical research has shown time and time again that up to 90% of illness and disease are caused by stress. So, stress is the number one issue in the modern day world. And on top of that, the massive problem that we have is that most of us don't think we're stressed because we have normalized it. Like, we have normalized it. I speak to people on discovery calls and they talk to me about their life. And they say to me they struggle with things like overthinking and procrastination and people pleasing tendencies, but they won't admit to the stress. They don't feel stressed. They've normalized it. But actually, if you are finding that you never switch off, that your brain is constantly thinking all day long, you never are able to switch off. Maybe you've tried meditation and haven't been able to get to grips with it. Or you're constantly tired, or you have no energy, or you find it difficult to live in the moment. Those are all signs that you have normalized stress if you don't feel stressed. Okay. And you might think, oh, I'm fine because I sleep well. I sleep like a baby. And that's probably because you're so exhausted that you fall asleep as soon as your head hits the pillow. And when we are living with our bodies in a heightened alert state, where you are when you're constantly thinking, feeling alert, never being able to relax, your body has so much more adrenaline in it than necessary. And this analogy that I've talked about several times on the podcast about the stress bucket is full. And if you don't feel stressed, you can look at that like a busy bucket. Another thing is that in order to function, in order for us to get the best out of ourselves, our brain needs sleep. And one of the amazing things that the brain does during sleep is that it cleans itself. It degunks itself. And a buildup of this gunk is very unscientific terminology here, but essentially, this is what we're talking about. It gets rid of the toxins in the brain. And if we are chronically sleep deprived, that has been proven to increase your risk of dementia, where the brain does not function properly. And so, if you don't value sleep, if you are not going to bed early enough because, I don't know, you're addicted to Netflix or binge watching TV or just scrolling late at night on your phone and you're not valuing sleep as enough as you should, and you're not giving yourself the amount of sleep that you should have, between 6 or 8 hours. The average person needs between 6 and 8 hours to get a good night's sleep for them. If you're not doing that, then it's not great. I would like to talk about another thing that the brain does during sleep, and it's absolutely incredible. Your brain protects you. Okay, I've said that loads of times on the podcast before. Your brain is built to protect you and keep you alive. And so, what it does is it processes the events, it processes all the experiences that you have during the day, and it takes the emotion out of those experiences so that you have intellectual control over the things that you've experienced during the day. And so we'll all have our own understanding of this. But for example, let's say you have an argument with your partner and it's gone in your stress bucket. You're feeling like it's made your day harder, or anything that has made your day harder because you just didn't need it in your life. You go to sleep and it's on your mind, but the next day it really doesn't seem as much of an issue. It just doesn't, either you've forgotten about it or it just feels better in the morning. And that's because your brain has processed it and taken the sting out of the emotion. Now, the bigger the deal is of the experience, the longer that will take, that process will take. And I'm sure you've heard of the saying, time is a healer, but it is not time. It is sleep. It's sleep that helps you to come to terms with hard, difficult experiences. And I recently did an episode on trauma and low level trauma. And when we experience trauma, it's an experience that goes above and beyond what our body can cope with in the moment. And so we're not able to process that. And so it's stored in the body as something that is very risky. I don't know why I'm going into this now. You can go and listen to the trauma episode. But basically, your brain will process your experiences from the day, positive and negative. But anything that goes above and beyond its ability to process will be stored as trauma and affect you long term in ways that I describe in that episode. Whilst I'm talking about other episodes, another couple of episodes that would really help. If you're new to the podcast and you've not heard these before, it would serve you well to go and listen to I Have a Caveman Brain, one of the original episodes, and also how to boost your mood away from negativity, because that will help you add less to your stress bucket. And that is the name of the game here. The second objective, or the second intention I have with this episode, is to demystify the causes of sleep problems. So let's get into that now then. Number one is, if you wake up in the night, that first of all is normal. Okay. We have sleep cycles and it is normal to wake up multiple times a night. But the thing is, most of us don't realize that we wake up in the night and we just go back off to sleep. But if we realize that we're awake and we look at the clock and we create a pattern in our mind that this is something to worry about, then we can have a buildup of sleep anxiety. We worry about not getting enough sleep. You worry about not being able to get straight back to sleep and how it's going to affect you the next day. And you don't want to be tired. And basically, you're creating resistance, and that stops you getting back to sleep. And you might then notice a pattern where you always seem to notice waking up at the same time every night, and you're just creating resistance. So sleep anxiety certainly is a thing. The other really key issue with a lot of people that I work with is the quality of their sleep. And that might be that they rely on coping mechanisms such as a glass of whiskey to get to sleep, or they have coping mechanisms that help them with their life, like staying up late watching Netflix or just scrolling through their phone, which is not good because the blue light, or the light of the screen light basically keeps your brain awake and active and reduces the quality of your sleep. This I'm not going to go into today, but there's something called sleep hygiene, which is basically where you want to get the conditions of your sleep right in order to give you the best possible chance to get optimum sleep. Okay, so just Google sleep hygiene and just audit your own sleep hygiene. And if you've done that already and you still have issues with your sleep, then it can either be due to sleep anxiety or the fact that your stress bucket is too full. Okay. So, for example, if you're waking up at like 1 in the morning, or if you're waking up before your alarm, like let's say 4 or 5 o'clock, and then your brain is awake and buzzing, and immediately, as soon as you wake up, your brain starts thinking about the day, and there's absolutely no way you're going to get back to sleep, that's a sign that your stress bucket is too full. Because the reason why that has happened is that during your REM sleep, that part of your sleep cycle where your brain processes your experiences of the day, if there is too much in this metaphorical stress bucket, if there's too much in there for your brain to process, then it's going to overheat or like time out. It's too much to try and do in the moment. And so it will wake you up. And that's why when you wake up, because of that reason, often your brain will start thinking straight away, or you'll feel like a little bit on edge, like, whoa, jolted awake and you're alert, rather than, oh, waking up because, I don't know, a fox has knocked a bin over outside and you can just roll back and go to sleep. That's different. Waking up because the noise is outside and then just going straight back to sleep, very different. Okay, so your brain can wake you up if your stress bucket levels are too full. And your brain doesn't process the stress and the experiences of the day all night long. It only does that in a very small proportion of your sleep. It varies from person to person, but it's around 20% of your sleep cycle all night long. And so if you're burning the candle at both ends, or like if you're going to bed too late, for example, and then you're waking up at 4 in the morning because your stress bucket is too full and your brain is like whirring of thoughts, then you're not allowing your body enough time to process what's in the stress bucket. And you get stuck in this vicious circle where you are living from your primitive brain, feeling stressy, feeling low on energy, feeling like you're struggling with brain fog or procrastination, or relying way too much on coping mechanisms like emotional eating, or you just feel like there's no motivation to do anything, or you feel lower in confidence, or you're feeling more anxious. All of these problems can be directly related back to the stress bucket. So, a big part of my work is bringing down the stress bucket levels, retraining the mind, and using hypnotherapy to essentially reprogram the subconscious mind with a more healthy state of mind so that you're able to feel calmer and just stay in your intellectual mind much, much more. Because when you stay in your intellectual mind and something happens in your life, something unexpected that you can't control, when you're in your intellectual mind and that thing happens, you're not phased by it. You can just dig deep and get through it and stay in your intellectual mind. And the difference between that and your body going straight into fight or flight and panic ensuing, and that feeling when you just feel like you're not in control of your emotions, the difference between the way you handle a situation that crops up is how much stress hormones and adrenaline is being released into your system. When we don't have a handle on our perception and our emotions, we go into fight or flight, and your brain is doing all it can to try and keep you alive because it perceives a threat. Even if you're just driving to work and like playing scenarios of things that might go wrong about your day. Like, I know this is a thing for my clients, heard that kind of thing over and over again. Your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagination. So if you're driving to work and you're overthinking things and catastrophizing all the things that might go wrong, then you can be putting your body into fight or flight and releasing all sorts of stress into your system, and therefore filling up your stress bucket when you could actually be just having a nice drive to work, enjoying like a bit of calm before a busy day at work, or enjoying the music, and you're just staying in your intellectual mind. Like, life is so different when you're able to live in your intellectual mind. You're not filling up your stress bucket needlessly. But everything that I'm saying is related and all interlinked. And if you can sort your sleep out, then you have more energy and you feel more positive. And I know I've literally had comments. By the way, I'm going to mention my sleep audio in a second that's free for everybody. You can access this. I've had comments about that sleep audio. People have had the best night's sleep in like 10 years just from downloading my free sleep audio. So if you haven't got yourself that in your life and you're struggling with your sleep, then head into the show notes, click the link, download it, and get it ready to play when you go to sleep tonight. And that will help you drift off into a deeper sleep and wake up feeling more energized. And the beauty about hypnosis and hypnotherapy is that when we are in a hypnotic state, your brain replicates REM sleep. Okay, so it is able to process things and bring down the stress bucket levels. And so, not the sleep audio, because by the end of the sleep audio, you're going to be asleep and drifted off into a lovely deep sleep, whatever. But when you have hypnosis with me during a session, at the end of that, you feel deeply, deeply calm and in such a relaxed state. And you're able to have more clarity and feel well, whatever the person in front of me wants to work on is the things that we would work on in a session. Anyway, I digress. I think that is all that I wanted to talk to you about with regards to sleep. So, yeah, listen to the sleep audio from the show notes if you have issues getting to sleep, staying asleep. And also, if you wake up in the night and you struggle to get back to sleep, just hit play again. There is no like maximum amount of times that you can listen to this audio. So, yeah, listen to the sleep audio. Try to sort your stress bucket levels out and definitely go to the caveman brain episode and how to boost your mood away from negativity. Those two will help you. Also episodes like positivity and the secret to happiness, all of those kind of mindset episodes will really help you to shift your perception, and that will help you hopefully de-stress, because the lower your stress bucket levels are, the better your sleep will be. And audit your sleep hygiene, but just Google sleep hygiene and make sure that you're doing all the things that you can in order to get the optimum sleep. And then if you're still having issues, then it potentially, well, very likely is due to your stress levels. And if you don't think you're stressed, just ask yourself, have you normalized that? Are you very, very busy? Do you take time for yourself? Do you feel like there are not enough hours in the day? If you're saying yes, yes, or nodding your head, then you've normalized stress and you have a priority to get your stress bucket levels down so that you can get better sleep, and therefore you can have a stronger immune system and enjoy your life more, have better physical health, better mental health. If you're listening to this and you're already a fan of my podcast and you resonate with my content, maybe your life is good, but you have a bit of a niggling feeling that it could be better, then do you feel free to get in touch with me. My Change Your Life program is for people like you. It's a very short program in the terms of like if you zoom out on your life, 4 months is not very long, but it is enough for me to help you change your life, live so much more in the moment. Get your boundaries right. Stop people pleasing if that's a problem. Get you being proactive, motivated, confident, believing in yourself, and just getting the best out of your life. And I have a lot of people say to me, "Oh, it's okay, I'm happy. Like, I don't think I need this." Well, actually, if yeah, you might be happy, but if there's things to work on, then you only get one life. And so if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, actually, there is room for improvement, and you want to reach out to me, please do come and have a little chat to me over in the DMs on Instagram, or book in a discovery call. My discovery calls are free and it's a no pressure thing. You know, I don't want to work with anybody who isn't a hell yes. So I would never pressure on a sales call. It's literally, I'm exactly the same person as you see on Instagram and here right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for listening, as always. I would love if you can share this with a friend. If you know somebody that doesn't get good sleep, share this with a friend, or even better, stick it up on stories on Instagram if you know how to do that, and tag me at Believe and Achieve with Jenna. And I'll share an exclusive hypnotherapy audio for you, the one that is not available in the show notes. Thank you so much, and see you next week. My mission with this podcast and why I started it was to serve. And so I really hope that everything I've shared with you today and in previous episodes is serving you and helping you to change your life. It requires consistent action. It requires effort. But if you're willing to put in the work, then you can absolutely change a great deal just by listening to me and implementing my advice. However, if you're listening and you would like to work with me, then obviously I work too. I do solution focused hypnotherapy and much more. And my program is called Change Your Life. And it's a program that I'm really proud of. So if you're interested in this and would like some more information about how it works and whether it would be right for you, then do get in touch with me via the information in the show notes. Thanks again for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to share it with a friend or stick it up on stories on Instagram and tag me at Believe and Achieve with Jenna. See you next week.